much. So what I would say is we need to build knowledge at two levels. One is at a slightly strategic thinking level, at a 3 to 5 year long-term thinking on how do we address paratransit, rural mobility, or 7 million workers in the informal economy. We have no idea what to do about them. So we need to invest in those longer-term issues on how to address transport challenges. But in the short term, the cities have very limited technical capability also. And in the name of capacity building, we keep subjecting them to training after training, and we don't actually build human capital. We need to put technical resources in the cities, transport planners, financial modelers, infrastructure planners. There's so much technical capability which we need to invest in. There's not enough focus on that. That's on the technical side, but on the financial side also, we need to change our outlook from a capital-intensive project outlook to a more life cycle, not just life cycle emissions, but also the life cycle financial aspects of the project. So far, we have more focus on building roads or building metros, which are capital intensive, both in our budgetary allocation or in our international financing allocation. It's more capital intensive work. But inclusive mobility is walking, cycling, public transport. They need operational funding more than the capital funding. And that's a completely different outlook of looking at projects. So that needs to be built in. And even within that, the resources with the government or development banks is also limited. We need much more private capital coming in. And private capital will come in only if the project is safeguarded for their investment. So you need much more thinking around contracting structures or business models, financing models. World Bank is working on first loss facility for high-risk projects like electric buses or two-wheelers, three-wheelers, so that the financier is more comfortable in investing in these things. So yeah, these are some of the ideas.
Thank you, Ravi. You've made several good points, as have all of the panelists. I'd like to kind of close our panel session today by inviting all of you to kind of give your 1 minute takeaway. What do you want to leave the audience with? What stood out to you from the panel? I'll start with Larissa.
Thank you. Well, I was just heard my colleagues, and I was really thinking, how can we put all these together? How can we bring money? How can we be inclusive? How can we be sustainable? How can we improve this change? Because it is a change, especially for us, from emergency economies, and it's a new way to see. Usually we are aware we are worried about basic needs, and now they are not already in the point of being good, but maybe we are in a point that we have the chance to take care of our environmental and also keep developing. So find this balance, and I'm happy to see so many young faces here. It's showing the world, showing to the foreign investment that we are getting prepared. So I think this is it. Thank you so much. I have to leave now, so excuse me. It has been an honor to be here, and it was a very good panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Larissa, for being here. You know, you have many engagements, so we wish you the best. Siddharth, would you like to give us your points, what your takeaways are from today's session?
No, I think at the end of the day, I think it's the interesting thing here is that the multilateral side and the countries, the problems are the same, right? We've said the same thing, they're saying the same thing, that we already know the problems that already exist. So I think the time now is to really sort of collaborate in the general sense to get rid of this information asymmetry. And I don't just say this for the private sector, because for the private sector is a very important role to play, but also within government stakeholders, right? I mean, in large federal structures, we also see that, collaborating is something that's very tough, right? As a federal, as a large federal structure, states are doing something else, cities are doing something else, the central government is doing something else. So I really believe that when we talk about safe, inclusive transportation, which is also sustainable, by the way, we must give way to collaborations over competition. Compete once you've developed the solution, there's no problem. But collaborate first to develop that solution. And the biggest reason for all this over here is information asymmetry. And that can only be gotten rid of in this manner. Thanks.
Thank you, Siddharth.
So, in my case, it's also step up to the challenge. We have a huge challenge ahead with decarbonization and climate change, and for that we need to improve private and public sector collaboration and also international cooperation.
Thank you. And Ravi?
Yeah. So a couple of closing thoughts for the attendees. So one thing is, for emerging economies, we need to find things that work at scale, and at the same time, they need to be low cost. So that's where we need to put in much more intellectual input into how do you have at scale solutions at a low cost. And that requires a very detailed assessment of everything. So a lot of times we see broad report like, we need to electrify, or I mean, we have all seen the such reports, right? So my call to people is to invest more, do more detailed work. There's much more to be understood and solved. So I would invite you all to India. We have, I work with the World Bank and UITP. There are several collaborations that are possible, but only if you invest in the details and not high-level stuff. So and for low-cost, high-scale solutions. So that's very important. And yeah, there's a long way to go. We have done a few things, but there's a long way to go. So looking forward to all of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Vatsalya, would you like to make some closing remarks on behalf of ITF?
Yes, thank you. I think we've heard a lot of great points today. And one of the few things I think we couldn't touch upon, and I'd like to bring that just as a leaving thought, is data. And that's something we've encountered in a lot of our projects, working with not just emerging economies, but it is one of the bigger challenges in emerging economies, doing projects that focus on quantitative tools and outputs. One of the main challenges is the lack of data. So I think, and as Ravi, you mentioned that we need to go into the details, we need to go local. And for doing that, to be able to do that, we do need data at that level, that granularity of data. And I think that's the thought I would like to leave the audience with. We need to stress the importance of systematic collection and management of data in order to be able to build upon these tools and actually learn from them and actually make sure that they represent what's happening in the countries at the ground level.
If you can add one point.
Go ahead.
So, and I mean, the reason I invite people to work on India or in developing countries is not because we have problems and we need help, things like that, because we are in a global world and emissions there are going to affect everybody. It's not a developing world problem that we are discussing here for developed world to know or to just pass on. So it's a global world and the challenges are global. So it's important to work with the developing countries. And we have heard several times in previous discussions also on how India has low motorization rates, and this is a good opportunity to bend the curve or whatever, not pass through the same path as European countries or US. But we are in the same path, exactly the same path, which we didn't want. So and then now it affects the entire globe and not just India, really. So that it's a global problem. So and we all need to come together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. It's true. We're not looking for bringing solutions to tell developing countries what to do. It's very much about the collaboration that Siddharth also mentioned. So that closes our panel session for this portion of the session. I'd invite you all to take a seat. Thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate your... So now to the very exciting portion of the program. Not that the panel discussion was not exciting. Thank you very much for being here. I enjoyed it. We are going to announce the winners of the Decarbonising Transport Award, supporting ongoing projects and research in emerging economies. And to do that, I'd like to introduce my colleague Elizabeth Windisch, who is team lead at the Quantitative Policy Analysis and Foresight Division at the ITF.
Thank you, Malithi. Thank you to giving me this pleasure and honor to announce the winners of the Decarbonising Transport Award. I will not make it that easy because I want to take some time to actually tell you a bit of history of this award and how it actually came about. You may know that the International Transport Forum has its annual Young Researcher Award. We have had this for many years now. But we got increasingly disappointed, actually, that we did not have the reach to all our membership in this award. So applications usually came from the usual countries, from European countries, North America. And we thought, given that we are increasingly working with emerging economies, this is actually a pity, and we really want to reach more countries within our membership, but actually also beyond our membership. So we thought, let's do something new, and let's just have an award specifically focusing on emerging economies. So we therefore put this in place and, well, had many brainstorm sessions with the team at the ITF to see how this could look, who should be involved, what should be the eligibility criteria, who should be external jury members, and so on, to put this in place. And especially also, how should we publicize this and communicate this to be sure that we actually have a reach that goes beyond the typical ITF membership and the countries that are usually the ones that submit applications. So yeah, we launched the award, and I can say that it was a success because we received, well, and we were so excited about the awards that we thought, let's even have two categories. So we have an innovation category, which gives a prize to an initiative that comes up with an innovative solution that helps cut CO2 emissions in transport in emerging economies. And we have a research category that gives a prize to a research proposal, which is very different to what we do in the Young Researcher Award of the ITF, where we just acknowledge research that is already done. Here we want to acknowledge a research proposal to actually make sure that we help researchers develop something new, have a research project that goes towards the aim of decarbonizing transport in their economy. So then, yeah, after launching the award, we did have a good response rate. We got 19 applications on the innovation category from 16 emerging economies, and we are very proud of this because it's really spanning across the globe from Latin America to Asia, and also covering countries in sub-Saharan Africa, where the ITF does not have any membership currently. So we're very happy about this. And similarly, we got 15 applications for the research category, coming from 10 emerging economies, and the spread there across the globe was equally impressive. Then after internal reviews and reviews from 10 external jury members that discussed the applications in terms of their potential for reducing CO2 emissions, what the impact of our award money would be, how we see the initiative going forward in the future and how much potential it has, we then came to a conclusion and could identify the two winners. So now, I'm still not letting you know who the winners are because I want to say a few words of thank you to a few people. And actually not just a few, but quite many people within the ITF, because this was really a collaborative effort that involved many teams at the ITF. The idea came out of the research team, and we had lots of brainstorming sessions there together, how the award should look. We then turned to the management to ask if we were allowed to do this award and to launch it, and they were immediately supportive and made sure that we had the financial means to make this work. So a big thank you also to our management to be so supportive of such new ideas. And then a big thank you also to our jury members that got involved. And we have one of the jury members today here. She was in the panel, Augustina from the IDB. So she got to review quite a few applications and put her expertise down. We made sure we did not want that this is only an ITF affair. We wanted to make sure that this is really also assessed by an international jury coming from emerging economies, because you know that maybe also ITF staff is not coming only from emerging economies, very much the opposite. So we wanted to make sure that really also people that are on the ground, know these economies much better, can put the assessment down as well. And then, last but not least, a big thank you to Malithi, our colleague who has then actually run the research award, the Decarbonising Transport Award, has brought all the jury members on board, has dealt with all the process, which always takes much more time than you initially think. And it was also a challenge to bring the winners here today. There were a few visa issues and administrative issues, I think, but we're very happy to actually have them here today in person. So, and now I do actually get to it. So the winner of the innovation category, Decarbonising Transport Award 2022 is Auto Safety from Uganda. I will not, yes, never good. Thank you. I will not reveal what Auto Safety is because I think you can do this yourself. We have a representative from Auto Safety here. It's Michael Wanyama, coming from Uganda for the ITF Summit to receive the award. I will officially hand this over to you now. Maybe we have some nice pictures. I'm on one of them as well and have the pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
And yeah, the floor is yours to introduce now your initiative and what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Actually, I hope I don't collapse from excitement, because this is not just an award, but what it symbolizes at a deeper level is really, really great. Not for us as an initiative, but for the entire region, like in the sub-Saharan Africa. This is the first of its kind. So much valuable. Thank you very much. Actually, if I had the power and the chance to make some amendments, I would change the ITF to International Transport Fixer, because you guys are really doing a great job. So thank you very much. I would like to say so much thanks to the ITF team. Most especially Malithi, there is Vatsalia, there are so many guys of you that some have not even had a chance to meet in person, but we have been collaborating, we have been like having engagements since the beginning of this. So I'm really thankful. I can't thank you enough. This is really awesome. And I hope we continue collaborating, because this gives us a chance to show what we can do from the emerging economies, and we are going to step up our efforts. I believe that even if we don't, we just get a chance to show what we have done in the next summit, you'll see great results from this. So thank you very much. This is good for Africa. We are not a member of ITF, but it's paving way, because, yeah, thank you very much. So, excuse me. Oh, the price here. Oh.
The price inside?
Like this? Thank you. Thank you. Now, to tell you about our initiative, there's much to say, but I'll just be brief. We are running a program called Auto Safety Uganda, being implemented by Wanyama Auto Safety Initiatives, an NGO. It's a startup that I'm leading. And we are tackling road transport emissions from the source. There is a source that not many people have looked at. Many of you may know that over 40% of used vehicles from Asia and Europe are imported into Africa. And the way they emit while in Africa is worse than the way it happens here. And like many other speakers I've had a chance to get more ideas from the previous speakers. They have all done good jobs. So there is a big data gap. We don't have any data on how much is being emitted while these vehicles are in Africa. Our governments are recommending adoption of clean vehicles, low emission vehicles, because while we are still stuck with internal combustion engine vehicles, the aspect of how these are being maintained has not been put into account. So you find that these millions of vehicles that are being imported into Africa, many of them would fail emission tests from these countries that are developed. They're highly contributing to air pollution, and they're hindering these countries' efforts towards mitigating climate change. You find that there is so much higher demand for vehicles within Africa, like owing to the high rapid urbanization. You find that one feels pressure to own a vehicle in Africa to be safe. It's contrary to what is here in Africa. Actually, the few days I've been here in Europe, I've really loved it so much because I find public transport so convenient. If I want to ride a bike in Kampala, it's risky. I'll have to be on pressure to own a car. And this car is being maintained poorly. So our project is addressing some gaps within the intervention strategies by the development agencies and the governments, and then also to cause some regulatory actions to be taken by these people. So what we are doing, like actually, this is how the picture, how the thing is. What is driving vehicular or transport emissions in Africa to be beyond what the estimates say is because the maintenance of these vehicles is very poor. Personally, I'm a mechanic. I've seen this all my life. It's just that I got a chance to get the real training, but we have so many mechanics in Africa that never had any form of training in their lines of business. And you find that most garages in Uganda are in makeshift format. Many of them work under trees. They have no tools. They have no expertise to perform sustainable vehicle maintenance. Uganda has over 2 million vehicles on the roads. And these, we call them, in Swahili, we call them juakalis. You know, those people that gamble around to fix things. We call them juakalis. They are the ones that attend to over 60% of the vehicles in the country. And this makes matters worse. So this is how the maintenance factor in decarbonizing transport makes a difference. Over 80% of the vehicle imports in the country, in Uganda, are used. They are running on mostly unpaved roads. And like this, coupled with the poor maintenance, makes the emission and safety control systems compromised at a very high rate. If you import a vehicle here that is new and low emission and take it to Africa, in just a few years, it's going to become an environmental nightmare because it's being poorly maintained. We don't have any kind of policy on end of life for vehicles. There are so many counterfeit parts and accessories that you'll find in the local market that would be done, for maintenance. There is, you find there is so much malpractice in the garages because of, the limited capacity of mechanics. For example, the theft of catalytic converters in Africa is at a much higher rate. Actually, some people confuse these systems for silencers. We have young people that want to have their cars louder. They take them to garages and remove them because they want to have, we have this Japanese brand called Subaru. Young people love it so much because of its loud, the loud sound. So they take them to have the cat converters removed. And once this is done, this vehicle becomes a nightmare. So, and also the lack of awareness among the motorists on eco-friendly driving. We have so many campaigns within Africa that are trying to improve the environment, like plastic pollution and all that, non-smoking, but we don't have any campaign on on idling policies. You find, let's say if you go to a bus park in Uganda, you're going let's say south of the country, you would find a bus that would idle for over an hour just boarding people. So a lot is missing. So this is our intervention framework. As an NGO, we're working with training institutions and government agencies to put the maintenance aspect at the center of vehicular transport, like transport emissions reduction. We make the mechanic matter. These are people that are mostly in the informal sector that are not accounted for in the current policies. So we work with government, we work with research institutions, and the citizens themselves at community level to bring technical training workshops to local mechanics and also collect data that would help fix regulatory and policy policy loopholes to improve, like at least to have regulations on the maintenance of vehicles on hand, also to collect data on how much exactly is being emitted out of these vehicles while they're in our countries. Also, we look at collaborating with manufacturers. Yesterday, I had a golden chance of visiting BMW's manufacturing plant, and it was a great experience. I had a chance to ask questions like, you know, when you're building vehicles, do you have a special setup for Africa? Because our settings are different, and I had very, very fascinating answers. So this is great. So we are trying to get the technical people involved at the local level and also at the regulatory level, and like, it's a win-win. Actually, the trainings we give the mechanics are also meant to improve their own livelihood. So when you compare our initiative with the SDGs, we are taking it at so many angles. So our community-driven approach does like mainly 3 streams. Engaging communities, raising awareness about transport-induced air pollution, and mostly we target motorists, and for the awareness part, we target motorists that are into child-related service, because as an organization, reducing exposure of infants to transport emissions, while in transit or not, is one of our goals. Then we mobilize the mechanics to offer them free technical practical workshops to equip them with the knowledge and skills they need to do sustainable vehicle maintenance. So far, we have engaged about over 400 mechanics, but we have a target of 20,000. Within just the Kampala metropolitan, there are about 50,000 mechanics, and over 85% of these never had any kind of education in their lines of business. So we are improving their works. And then also working with the institutions to do research that will inform policy on transport emissions, focusing on the informal sector that is completely unregulated. And also exploring collaborative opportunities with the Ministry of Works and Transport in Uganda. Here are some pictures from one of some of the recent activities we've had. First of all, we do what we call focus group discussions. We mobilize them and have discussions with them to understand and appreciate what they know, and then we design training workshops tailored to exactly give them the skills they need to do sustainable maintenance. What else we are doing? Like I said earlier, we are still a bit short on resources, but we are trying to quantify how much emissions are coming out of vehicles by doing data collection on emissions. And then also we are working to retrofit, because like I said, it's over 2 million vehicles in the country, and the ownership of a new vehicle in Uganda is really, really difficult for the average Ugandan. So also, like with the adoption of electric mobility, so we are trying to retrofit and convert some of these vehicles, especially those that are in public transportation. We have 14-seater matatus, those are the common ones. So we want to convert some of them to running on battery electric, like a pilot, to see how we can transition, we can accelerate transition of our region from into electric mobility, while we also advocate for other modes of clean mobility, like walking, cycling, because we do attend a lot of seminars and all that, so that at least we improve transport. And then about this prestigious award, I'm speechless. It's a golden opportunity for us to gain more visibility. This has been one of our biggest challenges. And I can't say enough thanks to the ITF team, Malithi, Vatsalia. There's Carl. Is Carl here? Oh yeah. Actually, so Elizabeth, thank you very much. I'm so thrilled. Thank you, guys. This is a very big, actually right now, after I fly back to Uganda, I'm taking our Ministry of Transport to coffee to discuss ideas, how to, So this is great. It's also going to help us to get some of the most desirable tools, like in the area of emissions testing. These are things we've been lacking. So it's a great opportunity. Thank you very much, ITF. Thank you, everybody. No, just one more, please. Okay.
And I realize now that I had a total spoiler in my bag all of the time when I was trying to announce the winner, and you were aware of it already minutes before I announced it. But okay, not now. The winner of the research category of the Decarbonising Transport Award is James Morongi from the University of Nairobi in Kenya, who has convinced with his research proposal not only the ITF staff, but also our 10 external jury members. So please come to the stage to receive also the award. Here we go. And I realized that I have actually forgotten to mention that there's obviously also a prize money. It's not just this trophy, it's not just the visibility and having the opportunity to come to the ITF summits, but there's actually also a prize money associated. You can ask the winners themselves and what they actually got for all their work. So please, if you could let us know what your work, your research work that you're proposing actually is. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. My name is James, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm grateful to ITF for the award. I feel honored that the work I'm doing, which is trying to contribute to environmental sustainability, is being recognized. And I feel honored by your presence, all of you here. The work we are doing, transition to electric boda in Nairobi. The question is, what are these so-called boda? I know you are tired, so I'll be very brief. They are basically three-wheeler, two-wheeler, three-wheeler motorcycles, very, very popular in terms of transport in Nairobi and much of Africa. Basically used to transport goods and people. You can see a picture of a two-wheeler boda, which is being used to transport, of course, a person. We have the goods. This is a three-wheeler version used to transport, again, goods and people. So one of, just to give you a background, in Nairobi, there are about 50,000 of these motorcycles, very, very, popular. About 99% of them rely on fossil fuels, mainly petrol. And research has shown that they contribute quite a lot in terms of CO2 emissions. 2017, we are looking at 350,000 tons of CO2 emissions as compared to 190,000 by light-duty vehicles. So a lot of CO2 emissions from the boda. And that therefore creates the need for transition to electric boda as far as the concern with CO2 emissions is concerned, and also in order to decarbonize transport, which is what we are talking about. All the speakers in the morning were talking about. Now, in this research, we have 4 objectives. The first one, we want to establish the awareness level among the operators, the current operators of boda. The operators of boda, 99% of them use internal combustion engine. They rely on fossil fuels. So we want to find out from them whether they are aware about electric boda, some of which are being introduced in Kenya, and their advantages. We also want to establish the triggers, what will trigger them to transition from what they currently have, which is relying on petrol, to what is electric. And then what are the likely challenges? Some of them have already adopted the electric boda. So what are some of the challenges they are facing? And if they have not acquired the electric boda, what do they feel are some of the issues? What will be the challenges that they will face in trying to take the electric boda? Then we also want to look at the policy, the regulatory frameworks, the legal and institutional frameworks, and see whether they incorporate the concept of electric mobility, and especially as far as electric boda is concerned. So we want to review what is existing. We already have some idea that most of the policies, the laws and the institutions have not incorporated the concept of electrical mobility, so we are trying to examine those and find ways through which they can incorporate some of those issues. Then we, as far as this study is concerned, how relevant is it to decarbonization, transport decarbonization? The first thing we are saying, at which we have all agreed, is that boda are actually emitting quite a lot of CO2 emissions. And therefore, when we transition to electric boda, that's one way through which we can decarbonize transport. And what is supportive in this environment, in the Kenyan environment, is that at least we have a lot of our energy, the electricity, 70% of it is sourced from green sources. And so that will support the transition. And of course, the study will also generate some data which will be useful in terms of addressing the policy gaps, the institutional gaps regarding electric transition. Now, how will this award help research? Many ways: data collection, analysis, and reporting the findings. It's a way through which you can create awareness about transition to electric mobility. And also, of course, it will generate data which can be used to influence policy, can be used to influence changes in the legal systems. And also, it's a way through which you can enhance understanding about the role of transport in achieving sustainability. Just examples: UNEP, UN Environment in Kenya, they are supporting some production of electric boda. They have already been launched. About 100 are in operation. And you can see this photo that will be to your left. There's already one that is being used to transport goods. That is it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, first off, to Michael and James for coming all the way here, for inspiring us with your presentations and your plans for your research projects and your initiatives. I found it motivating. I hope you found it inspirational, and we wish you the best. Panelists, thank you very much for bringing such a wide range of perspectives. Bring your challenges, but also your solutions and what you want to see moving forward. Thank you very much for your time. I want to say a quick thank you to my colleagues, Elizabeth Batsalia, the rest of the ITF team behind the scenes, the technical teams who are helping us today. Thank you very much. You can access all our photos and videos on our YouTube channel and our Flickr. I hope you can follow along if you're interested. Thank you to you. Thank you for coming on 9 a.m. on the last day after the gala dinner. I hope this has piqued your interest. We talked about copying good ideas. Larissa brought that up at the beginning. We talked about collaborating and context-specific solutions. I hope this has kind of piqued your interest. I would encourage you to chat with our panelists and our award winners before the end of the summit, and I wish you a wonderful end to the week. Thank you.